country where we have freedom, rights, and privileges. We have the right to choose where we live and how we live our life. So why is it so different when it comes to the end of your life? Death with dignity is a right that the terminally ill shall have to end their intolerable pain and suffering. Today we're going to learn about two men who were very strong supporters in the Right to Die movement, statistics on death with dignity, and the first state to implement death with dignity in your right to choose. Your right to choose something that was very near and dear to the heart of Derek Humphrey. In his biography, he tells us how in 1977, he helped his first wife, Jean, commit suicide after her long battle with bone cancer. Bone cancer is not only terminal, but a very long and painful suffering death and slow to kill. Derek then wrote a book about her called Jean's Way. The money from this book helped fund and start the Hemlock Society in 1980. After that, he wrote another book called Let Me Die Before I Wait, selling 25,000 copies a year for the next 10 years. The money from the Hemlock Society was able to back the ballot initiative's campaign for physician-assisted suicide in the states of California, Washington, and Oregon. Another man who is considered to be the face of the Right to Die Act is Dr. Jack Kevorkian. The doctor from Michigan performed approximately 130 physician-assisted suicides in the 90s, according to an article written by Dr. Jim Ekman in the issue of The Perspective. He was also a member of the Hemlock Society and a strong advocate for the Right to Die movement. He went as far as creating his own homemade suicide machine, which gave patients the complete control over how fast or how slow they died. This machine either injected you with a lethal injection, killing you, or you die by carbon monoxide. He ended up serving 8 years in prison after he killed a patient who was too weak to do it himself. He was released from prison in 2007 with the understanding that he was never supposed to help another patient or practice medicine again, and ended up passing away in 2011. A common concern that many Americans have is the already high epidemic of suicide, and that this is going to increase the amount of suicides we have in the United States. However, in Oregon's Public Health Division, since the conception of Death with Dignity Act in 1977, there has only been 1,545 lethal prescriptions written, with only 991 patients recording death from ingesting the lethal injection. In the year 2015, 38.6 out of 10,000 deaths were due to the Death with Dignity Act. That does not sound like numbers that is outstanding or out of control to me. We have already found a way to effectively help the terminally ill, keep it regulated, keep physicians safe and protected under medical laws, and give the patient, you, the right to choose. Just because you are given the prescription does not mean you have to take it, which is what the numbers clearly already show. People just want the choice. It's not up to the doctor, it shouldn't be up to a doctor, to decide when you are in enough pain. Everyone's different. You know when you've had enough. There are many rules and regulations in place to prevent this from becoming something that is out of control. After reading the Death with Dignity Act from the state websites from Washington and Oregon, you must request physician-assisted suicide a total of 3 times, one orally and the next 2 have to be written. You have to have at least 15 days in between each request before the doctor can actually write you a lethal prescription. The state of California goes a step farther than that, and in their Death with Dignity Act, after they write the prescription, they have to turn around and submit paperwork to the Department of Health stating that you are terminally ill, that you are willing to give them this prescription, and assist this patient in physician-assisted suicide. With all these guidelines in place, it is very simple that you should have the right to choose. When taken to court for pushing for your right to choose in the American Journal of Public Health, Glucksberg in the due process claim had the argument that if a woman can have an abortion, then why can't a person who is terminally ill decide when they're done fighting? When are they done? This was not a valid argument for the Supreme Court at that time. However, in the same article, it talks about Vallejo versus Quill, bringing a new argument to the table. They want to know, why is it completely acceptable for a patient to have a DNR, a do not resuscitate, or the right to refuse treatment? What is the difference between refusing treatment and ending treatment and wanting to not have to take any more medication? The Supreme Court came back in the favor of this request and denied it, saying that they have to support your constitutional right to refuse the treatment but cannot assist you in physician-assisted suicide. However, they did state that each individual state is able to turn around and make their own choice on whether it is right or wrong to do this. Then we come to the word dignity, and the word "and death with dignity" is something that is different to each individual person. Some people look at death with dignity as only being for certain people who lived a good life and should die the same way. Other people look at it as being put down like a dog, which are two very different perspectives that you can have to look at the situation. These are both talked about in the Journal of Medical Ethics and what really is dignity. When I think about death with dignity, I think of someone who has exhausted all their options in their will to live and doesn't want to live their last days as a vegetable. They will be in so much pain, the hospice doctors are going to sedate you. You're not going to be able to spend time with your family or be able to be with your loved ones. You're going to be laying in bed, not being able to be with your family. You have organizations like Compassion and Choices where you can receive counseling for you and your family during your decisions with death with dignity. They founded the first national end-of-life consult program for you and your families, and they became a voice for different legislators, Congress, court, and medical communities. You can visit them at their website, compassionandchoices.org, to learn more about what they do for you in the community. After hearing about Derek Humphrey, Dr. Kiovriak, and some statistics with dealing with death with dignity and your right to choose. Death with dignity is a right that the terminally ill should have to be able to end their pain and suffering. Wouldn't you want to be able to end your pain and suffering and not see one of your loved ones lying there in bed racking up medical bills they're never going to be able to pay for? Who would want to live their last moments like that? And then we have for our audience, we have Nakia, Courtney, Nikki, and Patricia, who just had to walk out and take care of our donor.